Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a marvelous day we have today as we celebrate Veterans Day. And we want to thank every veteran that we see and those that have gone before us for the sacrifices that they have made so that we can gather today. And again, what a beautiful day we have. I want to thank each of you for being here. And again, I want to thank each of our veterans today. If those of you that are veterans, if you would please raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you. And those that are family members of veterans. All right. Thank you again for being here. I want to thank our city council members as well for their continued dedication to this memorial and to this corner for honoring our veterans day in and day out. Some of our council members are here. I believe Sheila Ekman is here. See Tom Worden. Tom, thank you for being here. Let's see. May have missed a couple of others. Dick Phelan, I know, is here. I believe I saw Gene Delaney. Any of our council members I'll catch later on, but again, thank you for your dedication to this corner and to our veterans. At this time, I would like to introduce to you our Drake Middle School Mixed Choir, led by Allison Patron. Drake Middle School, I don't know how many of you were able to be there yesterday, but they had a veterans celebration and it was, as usual, marvelous. So at this time, we appreciate so much them being here today on their day out of school, but they continually work to help honor our veterans, and we appreciate their dedication to our veterans. Allison? Thank you very much to our Drake Choir. At this time, I'd like to ask Reverend Nick Holler, U.S. Army veteran, to come and give our invocation.
Let's pray. Gracious and loving God, Lord, on this beautiful day as we gather here to honor the many thousands of men and women who have served in the armed forces of this country throughout its history, first to gain our freedom and then to protect the freedoms that were hardly gained. And Lord, we just thank you for their sacrifice and all that they've done. We know that without their sacrifice, we might not be able to stand here today. We might not have free speech, free worship, or the many other freedoms that we enjoy. So we ask you to bless them. We ask you especially to bless those who are serving now, many in harm's way. Protect them, stand beside them, bring them home safely. And Lord, as a nation, we just pray that we would have the commitment to honor our veterans, to care for them when they come home, to especially care for the families of those who have lost loved ones, and that we would always stand beside them and give them the honor that they deserve. So bless everything that we do here today. In your precious name we pray.
Thank you, Nick. At this time, we will go back to our Drake Choir for them to sing America the Beautiful. Thank you again. I mentioned some of our special guests here today, and I did not see Sheriff Jones earlier, but Sheriff Jones is here, and we appreciate always his dedication to our veterans, along with our probate judge, Bill English. We thank each of you for your continued support of our veterans effort. You know, through the years, the city of Auburn, at least for the past 11 years, and this is our 11th year, to hold this celebration, which we are very appreciative again of all of our veterans group. I would like to mention to you those that work tirelessly throughout the year on our veterans committee, both on for this event as well as our Memorial Day event and our scholarship process that we're working on to give worthy candidates in our local area college scholarships. Lieutenant Commander Sam Nichols, U.S. Navy retired. He's the chairman of our group. Gussie Calhoun, U.S. Marine veteran. Lieutenant Colonel Pat Deary, U.S. Army retired. Lieutenant Colonel Hank Galbraith, U.S. Army retired. Colonel Andy Lamar, U.S. Army retired. Lieutenant General Hal Moore, all of you know that unfortunately is not able to be with us today, U.S. Army retired. Captain Dick Phelan, U.S. Navy retired. Dr. Doug Watson, U.S. Army veteran. Lieutenant Colonel John Seegers, who you'll hear from in a little bit, U.S. Army retired, and also heads up our Auburn High School Junior ROTC, and Corporal Grady Jones, U.S. Marine Corps. So thanks to each of those for their dedication. My remarks today will be very brief, but you've probably heard me say this before, and I don't believe there are ever too many times that you can thank our veterans. We have an opportunity if we go through our airports across the country to see a lot of our veterans flying back and forth to different places to either be in harm's way or to different bases. A great opportunity to walk up to those men and women and say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for allowing me, my family, for us to enjoy the freedoms that we do, to be at events like we are today. So I would urge each of you, and I know each of you will, continue to thank your veterans because they are the ones that allow us to have these freedoms. Now, having said that, we've got two veterans with us today, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're probably the oldest or among the oldest here, and maybe some of our oldest veterans, or should I say most tenured veterans, living in the city of Auburn. First, I would like to introduce to you a longtime family friend and friend, Rayford Furlow. Rayford is right here on the front. Ladies and gentlemen, Rayford is 96 years old. Rayford was a veteran of the U.S. Navy, was a pilot in the U.S. Navy. Not only that, and does Rayford now live in Auburn, Alabama, but he has with him his friend Chester Cooper, that is a veteran of the Air Force, and Chester is a young 93 years old. Chester? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Furlow served to protect us from 1941 to 45, and he says it's the greatest honor ever bestowed on him to be able to serve his country and defend this country. Mr. Furlow also is the oldest living Auburn University baseball letterman. He lettered in 1935 and 1936 as a left-handed pitcher. So Mr. Furlow may throw a few fastballs later on today.
First by presidential proclamation and later by an act of Congress, November the 11th was established as Veterans Day. Correction, it was established as Armistice Day. It was meant to recognize the 4,300,000 Americans who fought in the First World War. Approximately 350,000 of them who never returned, and another 3,000 who returned with wounds of various severity. Unfortunately, the war to end all wars was not that. In just over a generation, Americans were again called to defend the freedoms and rights our great country is built upon. This time, approximately 16 million Americans, both men and women, served in uniform in an even greater action, the Second World War. In this conflict, nearly 1 million servicemen and women were either killed or a casualty or were reported missing in action. The Americans who heeded our country's call to arms and fought in or otherwise supported this conflict responded in such an amazing fashion that they are rightly today called the greatest generation. Just 5 years later, America's armed forces again responded to unbridled aggression on the Korean Peninsula as we engaged communist forces there from June of 1950 to July of 1953. Nearly 2 million military members served in that action, of whom almost 37,000 gave their lives and more than 92,000 were injured, some multiple times. It was then, in 1954, after World War II had required the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in our nation's history, and after American forces had fought aggression in Korea, that the U.S. Congress struck the word armistice and inserted in its place the word veterans, making November 11th a day to honor American veterans of all wars. Today we are gathered to commemorate Veterans Day, not only to recognize those who fought in the Great War, the Second World War, and the Korean conflict, but also to honor those American men and women who fought, sacrificed, or otherwise supported our nation during conflicts in Vietnam, Panama, Grenada, in numerous unheralded operations during the Cold War and in military actions in Lebanon, Bosnia, Somalia, and a war in Kuwait. Today also honors those who were or still are engaged in Iraq and Afghanistan. In time, I believe the veterans serving in Iraq and Afghanistan will be recognized as a new greatest generation. A generation who places service above self, who are committed to bettering the lives of those around them, and who will continue to ensure our country remains the greatest nation yet witnessed by history. Veterans Day does not honor the wars our country has fought. Rather, it is a day to recognize and honor the men and women who fought those wars, for they are our nation's greatest treasure and will remain so. We are assembled here to provide the thanks of a grateful nation to those who have served and who continue to serve. We are here to provide our gratitude to those men and women who stand or have stood on the ramparts of freedom, sacrificing for the greater good of our nation and its peoples. Let us remember that their service encompasses every day of the year and every hour of the day and night. Let us also recall that the price of liberty is not measured in treasure, but rather in the lives of men and women and those they leave behind. Let us also remember to honor our veterans every other day of the year, for in keeping them strong, we do the same for our great nation and continue to ensure the blessings of liberty for future generations. I hope you enjoy the remainder of this holiday and hope that you will carry our thoughts of our servicemen and servicewomen in your hearts today, tomorrow, and every other day of the year. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America and all who live in her.
Thank you, Captain Fox. At this time, Captain Fox and our own Sergeant Willie Sanford will help me bring the wreath and place it in front here, and then at that time our Drake Middle School Choir again will sing the medley from the Armed Services songs. Gentlemen. Thank you again to the great choir. I think our future's in good shape. We appreciate the dedication for each of you again. For years and years, Dan Drummond has graced us with his talents as he plays the bagpipes for us at these events and also on Memorial Day. So Dan will now play Amazing Grace. At the end of Dan's playing of Amazing Grace, we will be dismissed. And please know that you are welcome and urged to attend at the Auburn Chamber of Commerce for a reception immediately following with refreshments and food. So we hope to see you there. Dan? Thank you, Dan. Ever so symbolic that our freedom is not free. Thank a veteran, and we look forward to seeing you at the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Willie.